Phil, thank you so much for your time. Everyone's been asking, what's going on with Bethesda? Are their games exclusive? That's a great question. We here at Team Xbox believe in an ecosystem. No, not an ecosystem. What about PlayStation? Are these games not coming to PlayStation? It's wonderfully put. You know, it's not about taking games off of other systems. We want to create a great ecosystem for the Xbox family. What is an ecosystem? Dude, are they exclusive? Yes or no? We're not necessarily taking games away. We're putting them on Xbox, PC, phones. Game Pass is a major player. Okay, so you're saying to me that they're exclusive. Okay, well, you see, here at Team Xbox, we believe in what's called an ecosystem. I'm done. I quit. Hire someone else to interview this asswipe. What did I say?
Shout out to all like 6 of you who know where this shirt is from. I appreciate you. You rock. You deserve to be here. Thank you for existing. I just kissed the mic by accident. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we're doing it again. Xbox exclusivity talks, it continues to develop, and the reason it does is because we won't get a straight yes or no answer. At this point, it's blatantly obvious that contracts are withholding the true answer, and it's not until we start to see the games and we get closer to these projects that seem far off, like Starfield, Elder Scrolls 6, Wolfenstein 3, Doom 3, that we'll get a better picture of how exactly Microsoft plans on handling these games. Now, we did see a small sample size of the next-gen version of the Arcane Collection, as well as the Alternate History Collection, which I talked about earlier this week, actually being exclusive to just the Series X. You still can get your Xbox One version, and you can still get the PS4 version, but no word on the PS5 version, which I think is very important to note. The last we had officially heard when it came to Phil Spencer was that things will go on a case-by-case basis, whatever that means, because at this point, with these comments, I feel like a lot of that just goes out the window here. So, a new article has popped up. This one's from Kotaku, right? And we're thinking to ourselves, what could possibly be added to the mix? Now, while Phil Spencer hasn't said quite straightforward that these games will be exclusive, and this statement is indicative of that, right? It is the most mixed messaging ever imaginable. I still think it's very clear that they are heading in one direction. And if you just want to go ahead and interpret the words however you want to, that's one way. But like I said, with the Arcane Collection and the handling of the Alternate History Collection, which I will have linked in the description down below. If you want to watch that video, go ahead and do so. Help the channel out, all that stuff. Would really appreciate that. But anyway, that is something that is based in fact so far that we can look at and say, okay, Xbox bought Bethesda. Bethesda is releasing a game, and these next-gen versions are now exclusive. So, with that, ladies and gentlemen, let's get to our favorite thing in the world, which is reading. Spencer had said in previous interviews that existing deals involving ZeniMax games would still be honored, suggesting that something like the time-traveling game Deathloop would still come first to PS5 as previously announced. Beyond that, though, fans have wondered whether ZeniMax games would go to Xbox and PC only. In other words, they've wondered if PlayStation would stop getting Fallouts and miss out on the sequel to Skyrim. A sequel to Skyrim to me is the same energy as Skyrim 2, and it burns me up. Anyway, Maddie, focus. Let's keep reading. Is it possible to recoup a $7.5 billion investment if you don't sell Elder Scrolls 6 on the PlayStation? I asked. Yes, Spencer quickly replied, but then he paused. Imagine being Phil Spencer, like every little thing you're doing here is being noted. Your body language even is being noted. This is how badly people want to know. Okay, back to the article. I don't want to be flip about that, he added. This deal was not done to take games away from another player base like that. Nowhere in the documentation was that put together. How do we keep players from playing these games? I don't believe you. We want more people to be able to play games, not fewer people to be able to go and play games. But I'll also say in the model, I'm just answering directly the question that you had. When I think about where people are going to be playing and the number of devices that we had, and we have xCloud and PC and Game Pass and our console base, I don't have to go ship those games on any other platform other than the platforms that we support in order to make the deal work for us, whatever that means. Okay, so in the beginning of it, he goes, we're not taking games away from other platforms, but I don't have to sell on these platforms, and we'd be just fine selling it here on the Xbox, the PC, of course, streaming to your phones through xCloud, these games being available on Game Pass. So on one hand, we got Phil over here saying, no, we're not going to do that to you. And on the other hand, he's backhanding you going, we might though. We might. At least that's my interpretation of it, because look at it. Look what he's saying. I can't believe what I'm reading almost. Here's what I think he's doing. I think clearly his perspective is we're not technically doing exclusivity, because the terminology for exclusivity has always been one platform, right? It's always been synonymous with that. When it was Epic Game Store exclusive, it was just Epic for a time period. When it was Nintendo exclusive, it was just Nintendo. PlayStation exclusive, it was just on the PlayStation. However, Xbox exclusivity now has a new definition, because they are also Xbox. They are also PC. They are also available for you to be streaming on your phones if you own Game Pass, and certain games support that. There's so much more to it where, yes, technically when Microsoft buys a company or publishes a game, it is not as withheld to one platform as a PlayStation. That is true. And it's not a knock on PlayStation at all. That's just actually the case. They have more platforms to distribute it on, which they are a big part of, that they profit a ton off of. However, it's still exclusive, right? It's still, these are our home bases, and you will only find these games on our home bases, right? Like, that's kind of the messaging here, in my opinion. But on the other hand, he's making sure that he emphasizes we're not trying to take away games. Dude, you guys got kicked between the legs year in, year out when it came to the exclusive department. I like some Xbox exclusives. I love Ori, right? Like, I'm a big fan of Halo Wars 2. I thought that was a fun game. I liked Gears. Like, they've done some good stuff. Don't get me wrong. But the constant conversation has been, man, Xbox is really lagging behind. Wouldn't it be sick if they got themselves some really nice exclusives? Now they have them, right? And then he's saying, like, we didn't do this to wall people off. Come on. Any sensible businessman would know these are ours now, and you either are paying an arm and a leg for them, or we'll just take all the money for ourselves. The article continues on, where does that leave the prospect of more Xbox games coming to non-Xbox consoles in regards to, say, streaming on the Switch? Because I think this is very important for the conversation. Spencer told me that, quote, it doesn't feel sustainable, end quote, to consider Xbox games on a case-by-case basis for Switch, and said, quote, in order to really support it, I would want a full Xbox ecosystem somewhere, and that probably means things like Live and Game Pass and stuff, end quote. Here we go with the ecosystem again. That wasn't a skit, it was real life. Isn't it crazy? This is a whole other timeline, I guess. He said something similar in July during an interview with GameStar, though the answer has changed slightly. Back then, he said that, quote, the other competitive platforms aren't really that interested in having a full Xbox experience on their hardware, end quote. I cited that answer to him and asked if that was still the case with Sony and Nintendo. Quote, I don't want to speak for them, end quote. He said, quote, I think they should probably answer, end quote. So Phil, he's doing a little bit of hardball here. He's putting it in their court. We clearly want, say, Game Pass on Switch. I think that's the most realistic option. Game Pass streaming to Switch, unless the Switch has a new version coming out very soon, which rumors have suggested, they are going to need some help on the third-party end. What better way than streaming through xCloud to your Switch and having access to all of the Xbox exclusives? I mean, to me, that's the Xbox experience. I guess Xbox Live, yeah, with party chat. But at that point, is that encroaching so much on Nintendo's ground that they go, step back a little bit? Because Nintendo is still asking you to hook up a friggin' headphone to this thing and use that as party chat with one earbud in and playing it with your Switch wires galore. Like, Nintendo's infrastructure, like, someone's got to introduce them to the internet at some point in time, because between their store, their UI, and the way that they handle party chat. No achievements or trophies yet. Like, someone bring them to the modern age. I love Nintendo, but my God, man. But point being is, I think that's why Phil's putting it in their court, where Nintendo could approach them and say, like, hey, we're not going to do this ourselves, but we'll take your service, put it on our platform, and if people sign up through Nintendo, we want to cut. And at that point, it's up to Xbox to consider that. But right now, does Xbox want to put themselves in the position that, say, PlayStation is in? Let's say Xbox says, we will publish our Bethesda games to PlayStation. Now PlayStation is willingly handing Microsoft a check with every single copy sold on a PlayStation console from a Bethesda game. So that's also there, worth considering. Lots of angles here, but it's good that Phil is still talking about it. At the end of the day, I think the wordplay suggests that they don't want to fully confirm it, because these games also are very far out. Like I mentioned in the beginning of this video, they're far out. We have a decent amount of time before we can get a true answer. And I feel like even though they have an idea, it's not until the marketing phase where they have to be ready to be like, this is PlayStation exclusive, this is Xbox exclusive, this is only on PC, right? Like those types of wordings and marketing materials, that's usually saved for then. It's handled behind closed doors. They're probably very well aware of what they want to do with these products. And do once again consider, Starfield was being shot for exclusivity. I've said it in a number of videos. I'm going to keep saying it. When you have a company, Bethesda, actively saying, do you want this PlayStation? They shopped at the PlayStation. Do you want this game exclusive to your platform? I will be shocked if Starfield's not exclusive, at least for a time period. But that's just one game, right? Case-by-case basis. See, there's so many conflicting statements. We really won't know until the game's out. But still, I found his statement somewhat illuminating. Illuminating? Helpful. With that, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead, wrap this video up. I'm looking forward to seeing your thoughts on this topic in the comments down below. What do you make of it? Let me know. Other than that, follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram. Those links are in the description down below. Big thank you to all of the patrons, all of the members who continue to support the heck out of the content here. I appreciate each and every single one of you, and I'll talk with you all soon. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.